Hi everyone, let's start. 805.
Yeah, Varsha, good morning. Okay, let's
Good
start ahead.
morning. Yeah.
All right, guys, we can start now. So, good morning and welcome everyone. Today we are going to have a session on hiring challenges. So, I hope all of you have been already been shared the contents. Now, before we move on to the actual content of the session, I would like to briefly introduce myself. I see most of you already know me for just in case someone is new. I have been working into this data science field for around 9 years now. So I have had my own fair share of experience with different types of data science problems. Now, the idea of having this session is to share experiences. Now, I have like been on both sides of the table, both as an employer and as an employee. So I would like to share my experience in that terms, like as an employer, what are the things which check when I talk about different hiring challenges or different problem statements which I we give to the interviewee. And then I'd also share some of my own experiences of my interviews over the course of years, and like what kind of problems I have faced. And then we would like to have some discussion around that. All right. Okay. So basically, what we are going to do in this particular session is we are going. So I hope all of you are like aware about the meaning of the terminology when we say hiring challenge. So basically, typically, where since all of you are like in this particular course, some of you might be working in your particular field already, while some other might be. It could be possible that some of you some other might be like completely freshers who are trying to break into this field. So even if you are like directly already in a data science field or complete fresher, or maybe you are already into software engineering field and then trying to break into data science field. For all of you, like when you start interviewing for different companies, and then you, what you will realize is the data science interview process is slightly different than what a typical interview process of other domains are, even compared to software engineering. So what happens in a data science interview is typically there is a multitude of different skill sets which are being tested. Now you have been into this field of into this course for a long time now, so you are already aware about what are the different skill sets which are required to become a data scientist. There is in fact no end to a particular set of skill sets. In the next coming few slides, we are going to discuss about a little. We are going to have some discussion regarding that also, and I would welcome any questions related to that. So anything which you have in terms of like whether do we require this skill or not, I would be happy to answer. Now, what you will realize is when we talk about different skill sets, it's not just about algorithms and simply data. What you will realize is there are lots of other skill sets which are required. And that is why the interview process of data science is slightly different in a way that they want to test all of those skills, right? And one of the things like which you will see is typically, I mean, like it's not mandatory or anything. There is no there is no hard and fast rule that every company has to follow this, but like it's kind of an unsaid rule where like most of the interviews or like most of the hiring processes will be typically be will be started with a particular hiring challenge, or you can say a problem statement, or you can also call it as a take home assignment. All right. Now there are different ways of this take home assignment or this hiring challenge, what we call, or sometimes we simply just call it as a programming problem also. One way could be like they can provide you a particular problem statements to you, and then they will just send it over a mail to you, and then you need to complete that and then send it back to them, maybe after 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, depending on the company, depending on the type of problems. There are other ways also. Sometimes people like want you to solve those problems directly on camera, on a live session also. So I have faced these type of sessions also, like where you would be asked to solve a particular problem in the next 3 hours, but they will be monitoring you in those next 3 hours. So it will be kind of a live interview, but not like an interview process where you they ask, where you discuss or something. It's just that someone is monitoring and you are working on the problem statement. So that can also be a way. Sometimes this also, like it's typically basically a simply programming a simple programming test also, which could be done on a maybe a some hosted platforms, like we have lead code, or maybe have like hacker earth or something like that. So that also happens. Now when I say programming test, doesn't necessarily mean that it is a typical data structure test. It could be related to a data science programming test also, but then that is not like where it is given to you as an offline problem statement, but rather you are being given a particular problem statement to solve, but on a hosted platform. That hosted platform could be company specific, or it could be a generic one also. So there are different ways of to do this. All right. So typically almost all data science interviews are these days being like that, which is like the first round is typically like this, like you are given a hiring challenge or a problem statement. Not necessarily first round, but maybe somewhere down the line it does appear. All right. Now again, I'm repeating, it's not mandatory. There is no hard and fast rule. Companies to company policies can different. Even within the same company for different roles and different teams, it could be different. All right. Now, what we want to do is like we want to focus on this element in this particular session, that is how to approach these kind of these kind of challenges when what we can call it as a hiring programming challenge, or maybe what we can call it as a take home assignment or something like that. Obviously there are many other interviews after this, like you will obviously be having multiple other rounds of interviews depending on the role, depending on the seniority level. I have given interviews where everything happened within just one interview, and that is in fact my current company, where I just there was just one interview for 3 hours, and that's it. In fact, I was told that I was selected on that very same interview during the interview itself. All right, and I'm still working for that company. Anyways, what I'm trying to tell you is there are companies like that also, which can have just one complete session. And then I have been in interviews where it has taken like 8 rounds, 9 rounds also over a period of 3 months, 4 months, right? Even like so that has also happened. So so obviously rest of the interviews will happen, rest of the things will happen, but our aim today in today's session is not all of this complete interview process, but only focus on this hiring challenge. All right. Now, how we are going to how we are going to approach this particular session is we will typically take an example of a particular data set which all of you have been shared. In case someone has not been shared, do let me know. I mean, like we can share that. I think Varsha just shared the link also. So in case you already have, well, good. If in case you don't, do let me know if you don't have. All right. Now we will take the example of this particular problem statements. Now there's just one example of a type of take-home assignment you can say, which could be like part. Now, as I said, like there could be multiple ways, there could be multiple types of problem statements. Now, since given the constraint of time, we cannot discuss all the problem statements. We are going to take this example. Now, when I say we take this example, the idea is not to solve this particular problem statement right now in this session. All right. So we do not target or we do not aim to solve this particular problem statements. That's not the aim, because at the end of the day you are not going to go face the same problem statement, right? The idea is taking this example give you an idea about how to approach such problems. All right. So and in fact we are going to have a discussion like where I would like to hear your thoughts, like how are you going to approach. The core aim is letting you know what are the different skills which are being tested via this problem. Should we just focus on a particular aspect, a particular type of skills, which is maybe like data science, or should we try to focus on a lot of other aspects also? So we are going to do all these things, right? So although this is we are going to take this particular example, that but the discussion is going to be generic in nature in terms that we are going to have a more broader perspective in terms of how to approach rather than exactly solve this particular problem statement. All right. So maybe at the end of the session you might come out like okay, although we had this nice 1.5 hour session, but we still did not get any performance or accuracy or precision for this particular problem statement. Yes, that is not the aim. All right. That is something which is expected from you to do after the session. All right. So the idea of this session is to help you understand the problem, not even in fact exactly understand this problem statement. It's not like a hackathon. All right. Again, so it is not, don't compare this also with a typical hackathon session also, where we are like we try to focus on the problem statement. In this particular case, what we are going to focus is in terms of the broader perspective, what are the different challenges, what are the type of things which they are looking for, how to approach such problem statements, what are the different things which we should include in our solutions. All right. And so on, so on. All right. So now having said that, this is the problem statement. I have all of you have like seen this, but what I'll do is like I'll wait for maybe 1 minute for all of you to just go through the problem statement. In case you have I will also open it in my screen. So just in case if someone has don't have this. So this is the problem statement. I'll open it now. I'll not explain it directly to you. What I want all of you is to just read through this. So typically, these take-home assignments will be like this. Maybe you will be shared maybe a problem statement file, and then maybe you will be shared some data. All right, and then after that, there might be certain expectations, and those expectations are typically specified. Either they will be specified verbally on a phone call, or they will be specified maybe over an email, like what you want to submit, what you need to submit to them. All right. So in this particular case, this is the file which you have received, and apart from this you have received another file which is called as a data set. All right. So I want all of you to just have a look at it. So I'll wait for 1 minute to everyone have a look at it, and then we will try to discuss about this, like what did you understand from this. All right. And then we will see like whether all of us are on the right, have actually understood not only just the problem statement, but what is expected out of you, and what are the things which we should include in the solution. We'll do it one by one. All right. So let's just have a read at the problem statement first. And what I would like you is to do is after reading the problem statement, also just go through the dataset file also. So let's just have a look at the dataset file also. So you can just open and just look. I don't want you to do any analysis or anything. I just want you to have a look and then try to understand, like just having a look at the data and the problem statement. What did you understand? All right. I hope all of you have just had a look at the problem statement and the data set. All right. Now, without going into too much details, I just want to hear a couple of thoughts, maybe from anyone who wants to share. Like, what's your understanding in terms of the broad perspective? What exactly is the problem statement about? Can you define it in maybe 2, 3 lines? Anyone? Anyone who would like to volunteer?
Hi Sajjad, good morning.
Hey, hi, Prathamesh. Please go ahead. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So mostly it is regarding the flight prices that keeps on changing. I mean, my understanding is it changes on the demand. 1 second, 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah. So it changes on the demand, the duration, the number of stops, and etc. etc. But in the given data set, as we can clearly see that it is depending on the features that are given. So the data set that is available to us is the airlines, date of journey, source, destination, route, departure time, arrival time, duration, total number of stops, and any additional information and the price for the ticket. So depending on all of these features that are given, some may be correlated to the changes in the price, some may not be. So that's there. So it is the prices are unpredictable is what is being said in the problem statement,
Mhm.
but we can predict it using the given data set.
Sure, sure, sure. All right. Thank you so much, Prathamesh. As I
Yeah.
rightly put, I mean, like it's a very simple problem statement of like predicting the airline prices. All right, so not airline prices, but flight tickets prices. All right. Now, next question is like, although like there is a given data, and obviously like Prathamesh has explained in terms of like it said that it's quite unpredictable. Typically, flight prices vary so much. But like given the right data, we can do the prediction, and that's something which you will do on your own when you actually try to build certain algorithms to do this. All right, and then there are certain data set which is given to you. You can see you have the data set related to like you have the airline name, the dates, information, route information, stops, and additional information, blah blah blah, and then you have the price, right? Now, before going into too much details about the data and the specific feature, I want to ask another question, and anyone else can answer. Is who do you think is this problem statement going to be beneficial? Now, the reason why I'm discussing this is it's very important for you. Like before you approach any particular problem statements, it's very important for you to understand the business context. So whenever you work as a data scientist, it's not that you only need to work on technical side of things. You are actually an amalgamation of business plus a tech guy. All right. So having that perspective of the business is very, very important, very, very critical. So the question is again, I'm repeating, who do you think this particular solving this problem statement is going to benefit? So like in terms of business, anyone, please go ahead. Whatever comes to your mind, anyone think about it? Akshata?
Hi.
Yeah,
Hi.
hi. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, Prathamesh, go
So
ahead.
I think this problem is one for the aggregators between the airlines and the customer. Someone like Make My Trip, Go Avibo,
Mhm.
or some or something like that. Because I mean, all of these vendors who are in between, who provide all of these services, so
Mhm.
that they can predict the price, and they can get that small margin what is available between the price given to them by the airlines and the price given to the customer, so they can benefit from that and make
Sure.
profits.
Absolutely, absolutely. So very again aptly put. So any middleman, any agent can like very well benefit from this particular model of these type of solutions. Now think about this. You understand that how travel agents work, right? And may not be typically Make My Trip. Even Make My Trip is actually a travel agent only, right? It's just that it's more diverse in nature. It's more tech savvy in nature. It has a broader perspective. Now, how does travel agent works? Like they typically what they do is they book tickets in advance and then they sell, right? They will book it at a particular price when the prices are lower. They know like what is going to be sold, and after that, a particular travel agent, once they have booked those tickets, they will try to resell those tickets towards the end customers. And those end customers is basically they are not going to receive the tickets at the same price at which the travel agents has booked those tickets or blocked those tickets, right? So that's the margin they want to earn, right? Now there is a risk, like there is both pros and cons to this, like to this approach. The a pro is obviously you think which is most obvious, which is basically that maybe other travel agent will block a particular ticket for let's say 10,000 rupees, and then 3 months earlier, and then the agent will actually sell this ticket maybe 3 days or maybe 7 days before the actual date of departure. And he might say, he or she might sell it for 20,000 or 15,000. That 5,000, 7,000 is basically his or her margin, right? But there is a con here also here. The con here is it's entirely possible that at the last moment the travel agent is not able to find a particular seller, so his or her ticket amount is completely it's wasted. Now there are more complexities to do. It's not as simple as that. There might be certain insurance attached to that, or there might be certain cancellations. There might be certain maybe cancellation policies or things like that, which by which he can maybe recover some partial cost. But the idea is uh, at the end of the day, the agent would be very much spectative, very much uh, aware, or very much would want to know the actual price at which the ticket is going to be at a particular time, also the demand and so on, so on. Okay? So anything related to these information, any forecast related to the ticket sale would obviously be beneficial to such travel agents. Now I've talked about just a single travel agent. You can just extend this analogy towards maybe some aggregator like Make My Trip, Go Abibo, or Yatra, or Musafir, or maybe you can think of international also like Booking.com or anyone. All right. Okay. So now having said this, why I wanted to discuss this part is it's always beneficial and it's always critical that whenever you are talking about a particular problem statement, you should always think in terms of the business. That is the first criteria, first term rule. So as a data scientist, whenever you are given a particular hiring challenge, first thing is you will notice most of the time this hiring problem, this hiring challenge problem, or this takeaway assignment will typically be related to the company's business of operations. All right. So if you will be, I mean, again, it's not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes I have seen financial companies give insurance problems, or financial companies gives medical problems towards interviewers also. But there are also times most of the time it will happen like a particular finance company will give you a problem statement which they are usually solving, and so on and so on. Okay. So what will happen is uh, after you provide them the solution, the discussion is not only just going to happen about the solution in terms of the technical perspective, but there will always be a discussion in terms of like what more can you bring? What did you understand the problem? All right. So the understanding of the problem in itself an art in itself is a skill set. All right. So you also want to demonstrate to them that you are a person who are able to understand problem statements very easily. You have certain domain knowledge. Even if you do not have particular domain knowledge, you have learned about it, researched about it, and you are now very well competent to understand this problem and have a discussion to them in those terminologies. All right. So it's very, very critical that whenever you are given a particular problem statement, first, it could be possible that it's a completely academic problem statement just to test your skill sets, but most of the 870 to 80% of the time, it's going to be, if not exactly, somewhat related to the company's business or the real problems the company is solving. All right. So what you want to demonstrate is you want to demonstrate an understanding of the problem, that why, what this problem statement is, why the company is trying to solve this. All right. It's very, very important. So to solve the problem statement, it's very important to understand why you are solving it, what benefits can it bring, what more type of similar problems can be solved, what are the other things which you can bring, how can you extend this particular problem statements by adding more data, can you demand from them that can we have more data to this, or maybe during the solutions can you tell them that okay, we have solved this using this particular data, but if we have this data also, you have to tell them that we also wanted this type of data which was not given to us. Or maybe you can suggest that although you have not provided us this data, but we can export, we can use some of the open source databases, like, and you suggest that okay, on this particular site this data is available, if we complement this particular data set with the data set which you have provided, we can solve it in a better way, or we can add additional information about this particular solution, and so on, so on. All right. So that is our first takeaway from today's session. That is, whenever we talk about such problem statements, we do not directly jump into the solution, like how to solve it. We think about the problem itself. So first takeaway, we are going to think about the problem statement itself. We are going to think hard and fast. We are going to think why to solve the problem, what the problem is, how the problem is related to the company, and so on. So on. All right. Now you get the idea. Okay. Now, once we have this perspective, let's move on. All right. And this is like, as I said, like the example of this is the flight data set. All right. But we are not focusing our discussion on just this problem statement. Any private problem statements you have, whether it's related to insurance, whether it's related to a recommendation engine, whether it's related to scheduling, and so on, so on, you are going to think about this. You are going to have that discussion with yourself. I mean, with yourself or with your friend or with any other mentor or a mentor or anything. And then you try them, you move on towards the solution. All right. So what's the objective of this assignment? As I said, like they want to test multitude of skills. All right. Some of the skills we have mentioned on this slide, it's not possible, humanly possible to mention all these skill sets on a particular slide because it's a completely subjective thing. So there could be many, many other skill sets, but broadly, these are the type of things that they would want to test. All right. Obviously, they want to test your technical knowledge. So obviously, they want to test your technical knowledge in terms of how, whether you can code or not. So your programming ability. All right. Now, few points when we talk about the programming ability, it's not just about whether you can solve or not. All right. So when you give them the solution, when you provide them the solution, you obviously give them your code, right? Now, when you provide them the code, do not be just be happy about like, okay, I have achieved this percent precision, or I have achieved this percent accuracy, and so on, or I have got the final solution, I've got some answer, and I have a code for that. Don't be happy about it. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you to not be happy. I mean, in terms, what I'm trying to tell you is, it's not enough just to have any program. You also want to give them the impression that you are a good programmer. All right. Now, what do we understand by good programmer? All right. So by good programmer, what I mean is, try to keep the good practices of programming. Some typical things, I mean, like very generic things could be like, think in terms of what do you do when you write a code, in terms of how your code is structured, whether you have written a modular code or not, whether you are using some certain compliances or not. Like maybe, let's say if we talk about Python, we have something like a PEP 8 standard, PEP 257 standard, whether you are following those or not, whether you are writing your codes using functions or not, whether you are using classes or not, how do you name your variables. All right. How do you write certain logics or algorithms. So these smaller things, like in terms of the programming itself, like the programming skill set. Now, it's not a one-day thing which you can acquire in a day. Like this is something which you will acquire over a period of time. But what I want to mention here, what I want to bring your attention here is, when you are submitting the assignments, it's not just about the results. All right. They're not, in fact, most of the time, if I am the employer, when I give these assignments, I'm actually not at all concerned about the results, like what final result that person has brought. All right. What I'm concerned about is the process. All right. So how what the approach was. So I am going to look at the code. I am going to look at the program. I'm going to look at the code. I'm going to look at the code structure also. I'm going to look at in terms of the programs, how they are writing the program, how easy this codes are, how maintainable those codes are, whether the person is a good programmer or a bad programmer. I would not want to bring in a person who writes code which only he or she understands. Like even if the person is a brilliant, intelligent person, even if the person has got a result of 90% performance, which is more than what I expected. But if he or she is writing a crappy code, I would typically be not very keen to have that person on my team, because what I would not want is have on board a particular person who can only work as individual contributor, right? Because at the end of the day, I know that persons are not permanent. People change, all right? So that person is someday again going to move on from the company, or on a particular project, I cannot have just one person working. I will always have collaborations. So when we have collaborations, different people needs to work with each other's code. And for that to have, you need to write certain standard codes. All right. So that skill set is very, very important. Now, again, repeating, I'm not asking you to become Mark Zuckerberg in a day. What I'm asking you is try to think about these things also. This is also important. So when you submit these assignments, try to think about not only just the solution, focus a bit on the programming logic also, in terms of what quality of programs, what quality of codes you are writing. All right. I will give you some more, a bit more understanding in depth in terms of how you should structure your solutions. But I wanted to bring this